I'm in Calle Warnes today, a street in Buenos Aires famous for auto parts, car repairs, and everything related to cars and motorbikes. But after today's letter hunt, it might just earn a new title, the place with the highest concentration of hand-painted signs in the world. Let's take a look around and see how lettering lives and breathes in this unique neighborhood. Hello, it's Martina Flor here, lettering artist and educator. I help thousands of people discover the fascinating world of letter forms. And today, I'm taking you on a special letter hunt through the streets of Buenos Aires. This city is bursting with visual culture. And if we are lucky, we might even come across some Fileteado porteño, a beautiful and traditional local style of sign painting. We will explore vernacular lettering, analyze unique letter forms, and uncover the stories behind the signs. Let's go see what treasures we can find. Welcome to Buenos Aires. This is the city I grew up in, and therefore I know it very well. However, every time I come visit, there is something new popping up and there's a lot of changes. So I'm also gonna be surprised by the things that I find in this letter hunt. So many great things about this sign. First, is very legible, despite the fact that it's using script lettering, makes letters connected and makes therefore the letters a little bit less legible. And I especially appreciate when a sign is leveraging the use of capital letters. So whereas the lowercase letters stay more or less controlled and legible, the capital letters provide that special touch which really call your attention. Another interesting feature, can you see the loop on the top of the V? It picks up on that feature right at the end of the word Corrientes with the loop on top of the S. Just brilliant how it manages to turn that exception in the V into a rule with the feature in the S. Now it's interesting to see how the designer of the sign used certain features all over the words. So if you look at the capital letters, they have these clean cuts that you can also find in the letter D and the letter T that relates to all of the other straight cuts that you find across the sign. This is the type of sign painting that I remember from my childhood. A lot of stores in the neighborhood will use this type of sign painting to paint their signs. It's a very simple type of sign painting, although it does have these little features in the shadows of the letter forms. This one is a little bit run down. The coloring is no longer strong, but you can still see some of the original features. And I love that type of supporting some sign painting style on the side, which is a lot more simple. It's using just one color. I am visiting the city first because my family lives here. Most of my family lives here. And also because I'm doing book presentations for the launch of my book, Make It. In Spanish is Hazlo. So I am visiting the city a little bit for work and a little bit for pleasure and to visit family. Another example of this very simple type of sign painting. Clearly the owner of this store decided to change the sign and modernize it, but they stick with the original sign painting on their shop window. This is a particular area in the city where there's a lot of renovation, but Teatro Alvear is one of the exceptions. This is a traditional theater house here in Buenos Aires. They have always had the same sign, so they keep the original letters, and it's pretty beautiful. Another example of one of these signs that still endure the pass of time. This is also a traditional theater house here in Buenos Aires. Such a pity that the space in between both words is so big. I would have rather have either bring them together or have all letter space a little bit wider so that there's not such a gap between both words. I am in Calle Corrientes right now, which is in the city center of the city, and it's a traditional part of the city in terms of culture because you will find all of the traditional theater houses and cinemas and also pizzerias or pizza places. So this is a very traditional place where people come and hang out, and it's also a place where things change all the time. So every time I come here visit, there's a new store popping up, or there's another store that closed, and therefore you are very lucky if you find a traditional sign, just because of the fact that there's so much renovation that oftentimes these signs are torn down and replaced by other new signs. This is El Palacio de la Papa Frita. It's a very traditional, long-standing restaurant here in the Calle Corrientes. It translates to the palace of fries. They sell other things other than fries, and it's all tasty. Unfortunately, they changed and renovated the sign in the storefront, and it's no longer matching the original sign, which may have looked a little bit more like the vertical sign that they have in the facade. So here's Guerrin. This is a traditional pizzeria, and actually this is not the original sign. The original sign looks a little bit more like this that you see here, but for some reason they renovated it later and they changed it for this one. This is how the original sign looked like. It was more of a quirky type of lettering that didn't look at all like fracture lettering like the one that they are using now on the new sign. I really want to eat in this restaurant because it's very tasty. The pizza is super tasty, but there's a huge line and I'm not willing to wait that long. I still have a lot of letter hunting to do, so let's do it. These vertical signs are especially typical in commercial streets where you need to call the attention of people passing by and they need to be able to see your store from far away. And I think this is a great example of that. Very well balanced and it's still remaining. Great job there. Beautiful Art Deco sign. Buenos Aires as the port of Argentina, and because they received a lot of immigration back in the 18th century, they also have a lot of influence, or they also received a lot of artistic influence. And this is a great example of that. This is a sign that has a clear Art Deco influence. And I believe that there was some misplacement during the installation of the sign. You can see that between the letter R and C and D and O, they're just too separate from one another. So today I'm in San Telmo neighborhood, which is an old traditional neighborhood here in Buenos Aires. It's the old part of the city and it still keeps some of the old architecture typical from Buenos Aires. So I'm positive that we will find a lot of old signs in this part of the city. And if you're lucky, we may find some Fileteado porteño, finally. Super interesting sign here. I never seen something like this. So you can see that these are letter forms cut out of metal sheets and they're hanging from these metal sticks that are hanging from the facade of the building. Here we have some traditional sign painting in combination with so the scrolls that you see on the right are typical from Fileteado porteño, but then the rest of the sign painting style is more kind of like a popular sign painting style that is used on local businesses. So it's a combination of both. Here's a classic sign painting style that is used especially in laundry houses. I remember this from my childhood. They all had this type of sign painting in their windows. It's a very simple one. As you can see, it's just two colors, a white one for the body of the letter and a blue one for the shadow. I was hoping to find one of these. These are called pasacalles. They used to be very popular when I was a child. These are signs made by people for people. They are meant to congratulate, to tell you that they love you, or in this case, they are congratulating someone from graduating from a law school. And they're usually made by hand. So they are painted by hand on this big canvas. In this case, it's standing between two trees, but I remember them in the past. They used to go or be placed across the street. I am in Palermo neighborhood. This is the neighborhood I grew up. This neighborhood has changed a lot. It went from being a suburban type of neighborhood to becoming one of the hip districts in the city. So a lot has changed, but I know of a few signs that still remain. So let's find them. Very interesting combination of styles in this ferreteria. This is a hardware store, so you can buy from a screwdriver to a faucet to whatever you need to build and fix your house. What is interesting about the Guatemala sign at the top, it is completely hand painted. It has this bevel effect in the letter forms. I think it's pretty well done, and what is really interesting to notice is something that often happens with lettering designs or signs for storefronts, and it's the fact that it's combining uppercase and lowercase letters. Oftentimes the sign of a storefront needs to fit on a very long format and therefore cannot afford ascenders and descenders. So in this case, the lowercase t and the lowercase l will be two ascenders, so they will go above the X height, and therefore they were replaced by uppercase shapes so that they can fit within the format that is available to fit the sign, but also they can fit within the X height of the word. Something also very particular about this sign is that it has this quote, and I still wonder why the owner of the store decided to put quotes on the name of the store as if it was a joke or ironic, but still this is something very particular about this sign. And there's also this piece of hand-painted script lettering. It is also very run down, but you can still recognize the shapes. Look at that, the feature on the T, how it relates to the feature on the L, and the quotes are still there. And there's also some lettering here in this sign. It's very run down, but it's already another type of technique and another style completely. Such a beautiful design. What a pity that it has all the air conditioning installation in the back. Clean design, even spacing. They even got the overshoot of the O right. If you look at the frame in the back, this acts like a guideline. You can see that the letter O is going a little bit below the baseline. This is the overshoot. This is exactly what makes the O look optically the same height than the other letters without being mathematically the same height. I'm in Calle Warnes today, a street in Buenos Aires famous for auto parts, car repairs, and everything related to cars and motorbikes. But after today's letter hunt, it might just earn a new title, the place with the highest concentration of hand-painted signs in the world. Let's take a look around and see how lettering lives and breathes in this unique neighborhood. Finally found some Fileteado porteño scrolls in the back of a modern bus. In the past, buses used to have or be fully decorated with this, but as the buses started to modernize their branding, they took away many of these decorative elements and they were replaced by vinyl. But here in the back of this bus, we can see a great example of Fileteado porteño scrolls. Calle Warnes here featuring a huge sign, almost half of the block long. It's an interesting lettering piece designed as a monospace lettering piece, so every letter fits in the modules in the back. I wish they would have designed the I as the typical monospace shape for an I with those extra serifs at the top and the bottom to balance out for the additional space created around the letter I when designing a monospace word or a monospace lettering piece. I love the effect of the sun creating that drop shadow in the lettering. It is a little bit run down, but it still keeps its charm. Typically, you will find the name of the maker of the sign or the craftsman or craftswoman in the sign itself. So here you have, this one was made by Tolosa, and this is the telephone number in case you want to call them. Interesting feature here at the bottom of the sign. Tren delantero is a term for a car part and it all goes together. So the sign painter reduced the tren to the minimum to make it work together with delantero and make it fit in the width of the frame or the sign. That is a wrap on our lettering hunt through Buenos Aires. I hope you enjoyed exploring the city's rich visual culture as much as I did. From bold storefronts to beautiful Fileteado porteño, this place is a true playground for letter lovers. Let me know in the comments which sign was your favorite, and while you're at it, tell me, which city should I visit for the next letter hunt? I would love to hear your ideas. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with a fellow design lover, and I will see you in the next city.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, Gustavo.